So most of you know who I am, and that's why you're here. And I've been doing a lot of work for 25 years in hypnotherapy. It has been an incredibly long journey of just magnificence and gratitude and getting to be um, just such a lifeline for so many people all over the world. It's been amazing. And looking at it now and thinking 25 years of my life, I have been doing the same thing, hypnotherapy, and then growing my business with all the recordings we made and going in and out of all the different phases of being in business. And it's just been extraordinary. But the one thing that is the biggest thing for me is that I am just so grateful to have found this and to be able to do this work. So today it is about addiction freedom and alcohol and specifically. And if you are a hypnotherapist and you want to learn how to do the alcohol freedom program with your clients, I'm going to show you that. If you're here because you want to cut down on your drinking or quit, or you probably know someone who's been struggling with alcohol, and that might be why you're here, you're going to learn a lot about why they fail, why they've been struggling so hard, and what it is that causes that, because I learned it the hard and very expensive way. So those of you who know the story, just hang in there for about 10 minutes. I want to tell you what it is that happened that made me specialize in drug and alcohol addiction. And if you are a hypnotherapist and you're here and you want to take notes, or you want to, just check off some boxes and learn a little bit more, that's great. I do have a free gift for you at the end of this hour. And that free gift is a program called New Hope. And hope is something you usually can't even buy, but this has a bunch of sessions that are to restore your hope and make you feel good. And it's priced at only $999,999. But today it is totally free for you because hope is expensive. I don't just give this stuff away. So anyway, I will give you a coupon at the end where you can buy New Hope for $999,999, only because it wouldn't let me put 1 million in there. Anyway, welcome to everyone who is here. I have been in many rehabs. The first one I was in, I took my son Sean to, and I was so excited when he said, Mom, I want to go to rehab. I got to get over this, because he was drinking a lot. He had for a long time, and he was getting into opiates as well. So I made some phone calls from the internet, and I talked to this really nice man named Dusty, and Dusty sounded so nice and so wonderful and heartfelt that I thought, this is going to be a great place. It's $28,000 that I have to write a check for. So I go down to Southern California with my son, check him into this rehab center, which was a big house. Found out later that that house is in a neighborhood where drug deals go on all the time, over the fence, on the street. Not the greatest place. And I say, where's Dusty? And they go, who? We don't know anyone named that. And I talked to the office people. They said, Dusty? We don't know any Dusty. Turns out that the rehab industry is largely run by brokers who will tell you anything you want on the phone to win you over, to make you feel like your child or your spouse is going to be in really good hands. And there's no way to know. So anyway, no Dusty. My son was there for 28 days while I fed him crappy processed food, gave him no vitamins or supplements to repair his brain, had him go to AA meetings in the house. So I went to the first AA meeting in the house. Now, those of you who are hypnotherapists and who understand the ways that we make the brain make changes in the way we want it to make changes, you're going to love this. And again, if you're just showing up, if you're just popping in, I have about 10 minutes of what my story is and why I'm here. And then I'm going to help you all understand how you can either quit drinking or help your clients quit drinking, or just understand the components of hypnotherapy that have been fantastic for helping people to quit. So I'm sitting in the meeting in the very back of the room, and this man walks in who is a professional AA speaker, and his job is to travel around to all these different rehabs and speak. And he goes up to the front of the room at the podium and says, Hi, I'm George. And everybody says, hi, George. And he says, I'm an alcoholic. He says, I got to tell you. And this is the first thing he said. I got to tell you that even though I have been sober for 20 years, every day I am just hoping to make it till midnight. I am white knuckling it every day. For those of you who are hypnotherapists, what did he just do? He future paced everyone. He confirmed that they will have pain and suffering every day. And he says, it's really hard. I have to work at it every day. And then he goes on to tell them about how good it was when the airlines used to have those tiny bottles of alcohol and the stewardess is bringing her cart down the aisle. And he says, I can steal like 10 or 12 or 15 of those. Oh man, I got so drunk. It was great. Oh my God. Whoa. So now, as a hypnotist, I'm sitting in the back of the room, shuddering. He just told them how painful it's going to be to quit, glorified how good it feels to drink. And then he told them, what was it at the end? It was when my son was getting ready to leave after 28 days. So there were Sean and a few other guys that were leaving soon. And the director of the place said, okay, remember now that in 30 days, only one in 12 of you will still be clean and sober. In 30 days, only 1 in 12 will be clean and sober. Like, what the hell? Well, I think I'll just go get messed up right now. Yeah, why wait 30 days? That's ridiculous. So I got my son to another rehab a few months later. This one is in Newport Beach, and they had 100 residents in there that were there for alcohol and drug treatment. And oh my gosh, that one was just ridiculous. Sean was there for a few days, and I think things were going well. The director found out I'm a hypnotherapist. And so Ryan asked me to come meet with him in his office. And I said, great, that sounds good. And I did. And he said, we want to increase our success rate. And I know you're a hypnotherapist, so I would like to have you do some hypnotherapy with some of our people. And I said, yeah, no problem. This is a great way to do it. He says, our success rate's maybe 5%, maybe 7%. I had just written him a check 3 days earlier for $33,000. They know that their success rate is 5 to 7%, which is the same success rate for people who have no help, who quit cold turkey on their own. Now, if you're taking notes, this is critical that you can say this to your clients and help them understand why they're failing. It's not because they're bad and they don't have what it takes. It's because it's a really sucky way to try to quit drinking and drugs. So after he said that, he asked me to do a session with about 20 of his people that were there for addiction. And I did. And I took them on this future timeline to a time like 6 months in the future when they were no longer doing drugs or alcohol. It wasn't a thing in their life. They were just feeling good and proud of themselves. They repaired their family relationships. People hugged them and loved them. And they were doing something that they really knew mattered. So anyway, take them back from that moment in the future to the present. So next day, I go and talk to Ryan again, the director, and he says, what did you do to them? And I'm like, oh, well, I did some hypnosis with the future. He says, everybody's talking about you. They just loved what you did. It's really, really good. They just, So I went and did a presentation for the board of directors of this place. And there were like 8 people, and it went really well. And 7 of them really liked it. However, the psychiatrist, he didn't not want any part of this. He's got, Wendy's song and dance. I do my presentation and point to things and stuff. And he decided that, nope, we're not doing any of that. Yes, psychiatrists don't like professions that are considered lay people, no matter how much experience you have. That's a tough one for them. So next, there is a rehab that I put my son in Oh, and it was in Northern California, this one, I think. But anyway, this was really amazing. This is an eye opener for all of you, I hope. It was a family night. And so we were sitting in a circle of chairs. And in the middle of the circle was an 18-year-old girl sitting in a chair next to the psychologist. Psychologist is going to help her because she's going home tomorrow. So the psychologist is going to help her. Key to this story. The psychologist says, close your eyes, take a deep breath, relax your body. Oh, good. She's going into trance. This is going to be really good. Relax your body. Take another deep breath. I want you to imagine that you're in your room at your house, that you've gone home and you're going into your bedroom. And you're going to have to fight really hard not to do the drugs because they're all around you and they're going to try to get you. These drugs are going to try to get you. They want you. They're trying to get you. So her voice intensifies as the psychologist puts this fear in this 18-year-old girl to make her afraid to go into her room. That's not all, though. Now she had 3 men that she talked to earlier, and she brought those 3 men behind the 18-year-old girl to stand up there and go, rah, rah, rah. Then the psychologist says in her psychodrama, those are the drugs. They're there. They're going to get you. They really want you. You're going to have to fight really hard. Now you can imagine how I felt. Whew, just seeing that happen. That poor girl can't go back in her room. So then she has the men go outside of the room to the windows and bang on the windows and does all that. But I was horrified. This happens over and over and over. And there was one more rehab that was $10,000 for the entire year. And you could go to meetings every day with this guy that's the director. Okay, a little different approach, a little cheaper. You get support every day, but there's still AA meetings. At this one, the director asks one of the men, he says, so you're a high relapser, right? The guy says, yeah. I mean, what if we did hypnosis to tell someone you're a high relapser? And then he asks, well, how long is it till you relapse? 30 days usually or 60 days? And the guy says, oh, 30 days. That's all I can last. And I was just shocked that through the entire industry of rehab, I have not seen one rehab center that uses anything but these fear techniques and making you insecure and scared. And he tells him he's a high relapser. What if he said instead, well, it turns out that there are some things we can do so that none of you have to be afraid of relapsing, that you just feel solid and you feel good and there's something in your life that gives you purpose or meaning, something that's much better and more satisfying than drinking. But they don't do that anywhere. Ken, who bought my program many years ago, it's probably 15 years ago, he had failed and failed and failed. Ken's story is critically important. If you have clients, if you're a hypnotherapist and you are wanting to help people, tell them some of my stories of my clients. You don't have to say they're your clients because they're not, but you can say, well, there's one man in the Addiction Freedom Program, Ken, who he told Wendy that there was no way that he could quit drinking. He's a fat slob drunk, by his own words. Said, no way. Nothing will work because he's failed so many times. He's 45 years old. He tells me, Wendy, I'm a fat slob drunk. That's all I am. Everybody knows that about me. So he used my program with no assistance. And he quit drinking, like on the 2nd or 3rd day. He said, I just quit drinking. He says, but the weird thing is, like a month later, I saw there is a 6-pack of beer in my fridge. Well, I used to drink over a case of beer every day. He said there was a 6-pack of beer that's been there for a month. So I poured myself a little beer in the glass and I didn't drink it. It just sat there because it isn't a thing anymore. It's nothing to me. He didn't drink it. But what he did ask me, he said, when I was in my future, at 1 year in the future on your timeline, I was seeing myself, feeling it and loving being an athlete. This is really hard for me because I'm a fat slob drunk. That's all I am. Well, I'm not drunk anymore because I quit. But he says, I was an athlete. And I said, well, maybe it's something that there's a part of you that really wants to do and have that feeling of training for things and accomplishing things. He became an Ironman athlete. He travels the world. From that moment when he experienced that, his brain just started saying, we got to do this. Travels the world doing Ironman competitions. He has done the Kona Ironman more than once because he's qualified multiple times. This is his life for 15 years. He says he would have been dead. I have heard from so many people that tell me they would have been dead. And now they're doing something they love. And my son going to all these rehabs, getting damaged more and more and more by every rehab. And the AA meetings, oh, I just can't even describe the things that go on in the AA meetings. Now, here's the one that, oh, this is the most damaging. And again, if you're a hypnotherapist, you understand the problem with this. If you're not, and you're looking for help for yourself, just, be kind of patient. And also those of you who missed my offer from the very beginning, there's a free gift at the end of the hour. And it's a program called New Hope. And as you know, hope doesn't come cheap, but for you, it's free. And the price is actually $999,999 because it wouldn't allow us to put $1 million, but it's free for you. So there you go. All right. Now, when you go to AA or 12-step, or your client has gone multiple times, they have chosen to accept that they are powerless, which we would never do. You got one person, which we would never do in hypnotherapy ever. It just wouldn't make sense. It's not how the brain works. That you have a disease, and that disease is never going to be cured, even though there's no foundation for alcohol or drug use being a disease. I understand the disease model, but it's not a disease, and you are not going to have to live with your disease for the rest of your life. Relapse is part of recovery. Oh no, oh, so I might relapse then, huh? Okay. You have to stay away from normies, and you have to stay away from bars, and you have to stay away from alcohol and anyone who's drinking, because it might trigger you to relapse. And if you quit drinking, but you don't go to meetings, you are a dry drunk. So at the meetings, to start with, you need to go to 90 meetings in 90 days, right? When you go to 90 meetings in 90 days, you hear very sad stories of failure, of frustration, of tears. Some people are very proud of the fact that they've been clean or sober for, a month, 2 months, however long. That's great. But mostly you're going to hear sad stories for 90 days in a row. Now, if you're a hypnotherapist and you had a client come into your office, would you tell them sad stories about all the people who have had a phobia, let's say, and they came to get rid of their phobia, but you tell them all these glamorous, sad stories and the tragic things that have happened with people with phobias? Would you do that? I can't. Hard to imagine. And you're immersing your brain in it for 90 days. And you wonder why people can't quit and why they relapse. So along the way today, if you want to ask questions, please do. And I'm going to help you to know what you can do to stop drinking. You also stop drugs with the Addiction Freedom Program, and today specifically about alcohol. But I'll show you the components of this and why every section in here is created to help you create a different belief, expectation, the things that make you passionate about life and make you feel like, oh, I got this. So you don't have to struggle, and you don't have to struggle. My clients tell me that they didn't have to try to stop drinking. It just happened in the second or third day. And again, if you're a hypnotherapist wanting to use this with your clients, you're going to have those experiences. If you're wanting to help yourself or someone you love, that's how it's going to happen. It isn't like, okay, I got to quit today. They just do. I was stopped in the grocery store when I was in California. This woman came up and said, oh my gosh, Wendy, I drank so much wine. It was out of control. My life was just totally out of control. And I used your program and I quit, and it was easy to quit. It was the weirdest thing. But now when I'm driving my shopping cart down the aisle of the wine and the liquor in the grocery store. Says, I actually feel really happy and I feel like dancing. She really said this. I feel like dancing because I feel so good that it has no effect on me. Think about how much power we have with hypnosis to make it have no effect. It doesn't trigger all these different memories, these sad stories, these fears, and the powerlessness and the disease, and say, I guess I can't quit because I have a disease. It triggers the opposite, that she just felt good. And another one is the guy who he was sitting at the bar at a hotel for a conference he was going to. He had quit drinking a month earlier, and his friend came up who did not know that he had quit drinking and bought him a glass of his favorite whiskey. And he took that whiskey glass and waved it under his friend's nose. Now that should have triggered some massive, you can see Melissa's head bobbing, some massive desire and cravings. He said, you know what that did? It made me feel strong and healthy and in control. And those are 3 things we're going to talk about today that's going to help you get where you want to be, to end your struggle with alcohol or drugs, but alcohol today, or to help your clients, or consider if you want to do this kind of work with clients. So my very first client that I worked with for addiction was Sonny, and he was a meth addict. He had destroyed his family and he was without seeing his kids. And this had gone on for several years, and he was definitely at rock bottom. You don't have to be at rock bottom to get help, but AA thinks so. But anyway, I didn't know what to do to help him, seriously. But with hypnotherapy, anything you do for that client, if you're a decent hypnotherapist, is going to be much better than anything they've tried on their own. Willpower, white knuckling it, going to meetings, trying to read the good book or whatever that book's called, the big book. Anything you do is going to be more. Al's laughing. Hey, Al. Anything you do. You guys see, I don't know if you see Al. Awesome man there. Awesome man. Anything you do is going to be better. So we worked together for about a month, maybe 4 sessions. Apparently he quit doing meth. He comes walking in my office with this yellow rose, which I think I had it around here somewhere. Let's see. I have had this yellow rose for 20 years. Goes with me everywhere I move. It has not escaped. Sonny came in with this yellow rose. Said, Wendy, I have my family back. I haven't done meth for 5 months. My wife took me back. We're so happy and my life is so good. And I know I'm never going to have to struggle with it again. It's never going to be a thing. And I thought, I did that with not really knowing that much about, helping people quit drugs, especially meth. But what I did were the same principles that I know that are going to help you and anyone that you're maybe going to suggest this to. We go into the future. We change your belief about quitting. We change your expectations. We change the things that you are feeling. So in that future, I take you into 3 months, 6 months, and 1 year in the future. In that future, at 3 months, you're going to be remembering how easy it was to let it go, how it just seemed like the most natural thing to be able to forget about it, that you don't need it. And you realized that 3 months ago. So I'm saying all this from this 3 month in the future, as if it's now. It's the present moment, reflecting back on what you realized 3 months ago. This is my Kona coffee because I live in Kona. It's so good. Oh my God. You think coffee can't be different than all the coffee out there? Oh. Then I take you 6 months in the future and same thing. What are you doing that makes you happy? What is it that makes you feel proud? What is it that really gives you that strength that you know you can trust yourself? And it's just been so easy to trust yourself, hasn't it? looking at the things I'm implanting are so totally opposite of what you're doing in AA. I mean, remember the little story about the 18-year-old girls going home the next day? You're going to have to fight it really hard. The drugs are there. They're going to try to get you. What the hell? Oh, and you can't go out to places where people are having a drink. But you know what? The friend waved the glass of whiskey under this guy's nose, and it triggered him to be strong and healthy and in control. Now, take you a year in the future. What are you doing that you love? What is it that really just makes you so happy? And apparently Ken decides to be a freaking Iron Man, having no experience. And if you don't know what an Iron Man does, first they swim 2.5 miles. Then they ride a bike about 120 miles. In Boulder, where I used to live, they ride it straight up a mountain and back down. And then, because sounds like fun, you run a marathon. I don't know. I just can't see it happening for me ever. But to think about these people, and these are just a few of the stories of hundreds of thousands of people who have used my program. It is so amazing to know that I have found something and created it in a way that it takes you through it just piece by piece. So if you're a therapist wanting to do this with your clients, you can take them through bit by bit. This is about repetition, and then this is about self-talk and integrity, and you're doing writing about those things that are important. Doing parts therapy, because we want to find the self-sabotage, the positive reason for alcohol, and remove that positive intention. And again, there's all the things that they're writing along the way, and it explains everything. So if you need help with quitting drinking, or someone you know does, this is going to be the chance for you to do that. At the end of it, I'll give you the code that's for $50 off the addiction program. AA teaches that triggers are BS. Really? I had not heard that. Well, meaning that we don't have triggers? Because we do have triggers. Yeah, I'm not hearing you, but type it in the thing, Al. Can I repurpose the program to stop my addiction to obsessive thoughts about my ex? Kind of. I've got a better program for you for that. It's letting go of the loss of a love, and it helps you disconnect. And even if you're into like the psychic cord that you guys created, hacking that thing up, and it helps you disconnect from the relationship in a good, healthy way. So I could help you with that in a different way. All right. So what are we going to do if you want to quit on your own? And you want to do it using hypnotherapy, but you don't really know how. The very simplest thing you can do is take yourself and get in trance. It's not difficult. Just relax, close your eyes, take some deep breaths. It'll be okay. Relax and make sure your phone's off, that you won't be disturbed, that no one else is really in the house. And then let yourself imagine that there's a path in front of you. And on that path, you just feel this tingly excitement. You know something really good is going to happen. And you want to be healthy and strong and in control. So you take yourself on that path and you begin walking, or maybe even floating or flying, and take yourself to 3 months in the future and do things like feel your feet touching down right at that moment at 3 months in the future. Good. And then you notice what's different. What is the best feeling you have at 3 months in the future? And you remind yourself of how hard it was in the past until you realized that you didn't have to make it be hard, that it could be easy. And you think, wow, 3 months, I haven't even thought about drinking. And you know, when I see other people drinking, it just makes me strong and healthy and in control. And then you take yourself and whatever you learned in that moment and take yourself to 6 months in the future and do it again and see what you're doing. And maybe you'll have a surprise like Ken did, like, what? An athlete? That's crazy. And then take yourself to a year in the future and notice what you're doing a year in the future. Now, many of you know that when I was super poor, single mom with the IRS knocking on my front door of my house regularly, what I did to fix that little problem was I went 1 year in the future on my own, no one helping me, just as you can do. And I I was there, I had written a book, and there were all these people and their smiling faces, and they all loved my book and they loved my work. And I had sold $1 million of my merchandise. No. And all this stuff. It was really cool. So I brought all that back with me to the present moment. And indeed, that is what happened in the next year. It was amazing. Big life change in a good way. But for you with the alcohol or drugs, that's the gift you're giving to your clients, or the gift you're giving to yourself, or helping someone you love. So one of the next things we want to do is try to get rid of some of the cravings. And what are cravings caused by? By the guy that says, oh, you're a high relapser. Well, that just goes to my brain, to the place that says, how do I relapse? What's it feel like to relapse? What is my inner voice when I'm going to relapse? How is it that I know that I am going to relapse? Right? And then the alternative is, we could use hypnosis to make you strong and healthy and in control. Strong means that physically your body is getting better and stronger. Your thoughts are thoughts of strength that support you and keep you on the right path and keep you feeling good. Healthy, you fed your body healthy foods. Your brain is repairing itself from all the alcohol, and you're feeling really good and alert and happy. And you just, I feel so healthy. I just don't want to go back to that old feeling of being trapped. That would not make any sense. And in control. Now, when you're in that future timeline in each section of it, you want to reinforce the feeling of being in control. It doesn't mean that you're going to be like, oh, I got this, I'm in control. It means that you're simply going to feel that sense of integrity, and you can count on yourself and you trust yourself. And you put as many emotions along with that of being in control. What does it mean? It means that you're honest with yourself, that you're honest with others, that you really know that being in control feels right for you. So now we connect these three things as things that are triggers, that things are going to trigger healthy, strong, and in control, and all the things we set up with them. So what's going to trigger that? If you want to type into the chat, what do you think might trigger those feelings? It could be pretty strange to think that smelling a glass of your favorite whiskey would trigger that. For those of you who are hypnotherapists, we know that we are triggered all the time. We are triggered by things that make us angry, make us feel like life is unfair, that we're not good enough, we're not worthy, and it triggers all the memories and the emotional states, and it brings them up. And people in AA or in the rehabs that use AA, they're triggered. They've been told that they have a disease. They listen to the sad stories, and relapse is part of recovery. So what if we say, anytime you see alcohol, you see other people drinking, even if you were to smell alcohol, or any memory that you have, a distant memory of alcohol, you're going to notice that instantly, and this of course is in trance, while you're in trance, you're going to notice that instantly you are healthy and strong and in control. And you say each of those words to yourself or to your client, that you are healthy and strong and in control. If you've set it up properly, that you've loaded each of these aspects of the identity of what being strong and healthy and in control is, your brain is going to be triggered because it's going to send the thought process down the neural pathways to find the places in your brain that support healthy, strong, in control, right? And again, a lot of you know this because you are hypnotherapists, and others here are looking for a way to quit drinking or to help someone they know quit drinking without all that struggle. So we want to trigger the right things. If you were working with a client for a phobia, you wouldn't tell them that, at any time this phobia could come back because it's kind of a disease. And You're going to have to try really, really hard to fight this phobia so that it doesn't keep happening. So you don't have this fear. We just would not do that. That'd be silly. So why are we doing it with alcohol, which is one of the most horrendously difficult drugs to quit? Heroin addicts say, I quit a lot of drugs, but alcohol, whew, that was the hard one. Yeah. So again, any questions or comments that you have, please go ahead and ask them in the chat. No problem. So now what do? There's Al here who is with the VA. He was in active combat in Desert Storm, Gulf Desert Storm. I don't know which order those words go in. He took his life back and is living a really healthy, happy life right now. And he's working on getting my addiction program into the VA. Like, we're starting with his VA, but you know what? What if we could help millions of veterans with this program? And if you're a hypnotherapist, maybe you want to learn the program so you can also help with that, because it will require lots and lots of people. But I've helped veterans with things like phantom pain. And I don't know if any of you have worked with phantom pain, but it is, oh my gosh, it is very, very difficult, and not with hypnosis. I mean, it's very difficult otherwise. So what I did with one of my clients who had lost, like from the middle of his shin down, he'd lost his foot and he had pain for 2 years. He took opiates and drank a quart of whiskey every night to pass out. And we did a session to get his brain to connect with his foot. Even though it's missing, he still envisioned his foot and as if it was real, and got the brain to heal that foot. He just visually imagined it being healed, being all back to normal, no infection, no problems, and bring that information back up to the brain so the brain could stop sending those powerful signals to that foot to heal it. That's why it hurt, because the brain is still, that foot is not healed. Doesn't that make sense? It never got the signal back that it wasn't healed. So anyway, his phantom pain's gone. Did it for a woman who lost her leg in a motorcycle accident and all kinds of, but for veterans, what we could do for phantom pain. Oh my gosh. So Jocelyn says, this is a common question. Can we get to a point where we can drink in moderation, or does it have to be cold turkey? Yeah, that's a question a lot of people ask. I have a session that's for moderation, and I don't include it in the Alcohol Freedom Program, but you can have it if you want. And it does help set you up for, this doesn't mean anything. To have a glass of wine is not a big deal. I can trust myself. I do it once a week. But it depends on your constitution. Have you done the entire program and really embodied all the changes in your belief and your identity and the core beliefs and all that? So that's a maybe. How can we know that we're setting it and in HS and in control up properly? Oh, healthy, strong, and in control. How can you know that? Well, I will certainly help you, but the way that you do it with a client or with yourself is when you're in that future moment, 1 year in the future, you are looking at what healthy means for you. Do you have some feelings and emotions that it triggers, that it gives you? Is it like, wow, huh? I just feel like, yeah. And so with each word, when you're saying in control and you're imagining 1 year in the future that you are in control, that, wow, this has been a magnificent year. I totally trust myself, and I have every day for a year. And then what does it mean to be healthy? And at the 1 year in the future, it's like, wow, my body is so healthy. My brain has repaired itself. I eat such healthy foods. No more sugar, no more junk. And this is how I love to live. So you should have feelings. The answer is, getting it to be a visceral feeling, because we want your brain to be connecting with these feelings that make you feel proud. And then you're strong and healthy and in control. And let's see, other questions. Oh, we already did that. Here's one from Robert. I trained to be a hypnotherapist. I also am a home brewer and craft beer enthusiast. I want to be able to help myself and others stay within the moderation with their drinking. I also want to lose weight and get healthier. Yeah. And so all those things would happen if you were to do the alcohol freedom program, but you're not wanting to quit drinking, and you probably don't have a drinking problem, I'm assuming. There's ways to reassess it. What if you did the alcohol freedom program and you got yourself to a point where, you know what? I am really solid. I love brewing beer, but I'll get back to that. Maybe you give yourself a month off, 2 months off, and you decide what your rules are for yourself. And you realize that you can trust yourself, you're in control, and you go by those rules. You will also get healthier and lose weight if you're doing the work in the future timeline sections, because you're going to be, let's say, 6 months in the future, like, damn, I just lost 50 pounds. Where'd that go? And you're enjoying exercise and you feel yourself, wow, I've been working out. This is really great. So you're going to implant those things. What we think about most of the time is what expands. And you have heard this from many, many coaches, counselors, gurus. And it is so true. The reason is because of the biology of our brain and our cells. Your brain makes pathways go to the areas of your brain that support the feelings, ideas, beliefs of whatever it is you think about the most. If you go to these meetings and you every day are thinking about, oh, these poor people, everyone's so sad and their horrible life that they ruined and all the people that they hurt. And then while they're talking about that, your brain is finding the places that hold those memories for you and lighting them up and activating them, because what you think about most of the time expands. And that's what's going to happen. It's just going to continue to reinforce the thing you don't want. So I'm talking to you, yeah. You got to get your self-talk to not be negative. You can't go around saying, well, you can, but you shouldn't. Like, why do I always do such stupid things? Oh man, I totally screwed that up. I know, what's wrong with me? You guys ever like say things to yourself like that? Wow. I know. We got to get that self-talk, and that's part of the program, and we're going to talk about that in the next few days as well. So you got to get that self-talk dialed in. Melissa says, Wendy, I've loved your programs for over a decade, and I want to say thank you. I got 3 exclamation points. Yay. I want to get pregnant, but I love drinking. I'm afraid I won't be able to stop. Well, Melissa, first of all, the last thing you said, I'm afraid I won't be able to stop. What would it be like if you weren't afraid of stopping? What would it be like if you decided that, I do want to get pregnant because I want to give a life to a healthy, wonderful child who grows up to be a really productive adult. And I know what's most important to me is making sure that I choose to give my child a healthy start. And maybe alcohol won't be that big of a deal for me. Maybe just the thought of getting pregnant makes me rethink all that. And maybe my mind can find a way to look at being pregnant as a time to feel so good, and alcohol isn't even going to be a factor. Now, what if you tell yourself something like that? I know that was kind of long, but instead of saying, I'm afraid I won't be able to stop. And I'm pointing this out not to pick on you, but I'm going to pick on you. But I'm telling you this because everyone, even me, has these things that we just like, I do something that wasn't right. And I'm like, oh, what the hell? How can I keep forgetting that? Like, we don't want to talk to ourselves like that. And you said you won't be able to stop. So maybe, what if it is easy to stop? Let's see. Have you ever dealt with a person having convulsion-like tremors during them being in transition? Transition from alcohol, you mean? My stepson did. What do we do then?
It's trance. In trance.
Does he? Oh, in trance. Oh, okay. Were the tremors from quitting alcohol, or was it because he had? Don't know. Okay. Well, if someone is quitting drinking, this is really important. And there's a lot that you need to know in order to be fully educated for clients and quitting drinking, depending on how much they are drinking. And I know this is not related to what I'm going to say now, but it just reminded me. If a person quits drinking cold turkey, they can have tremors and convulsions and oh boy, they can do some real brain damage and they can die. So you need to be educated about that and make sure your client knows that either they need a doctor to assist them, which your family doctor will do that and will give you some benzos that you can take for a few days so you won't have tremors and such. Or they can scale down gradually. They would have to have someone else monitoring that to help them. That if you're using beer, for an example, if you have 3 today, you get 2 tomorrow, maybe get 2 next day, 1 the next day, and taper off. Because it is dangerous to stop. Other drugs, you can quit any of those other drugs and it might be uncomfortable, like big time, but it's not going to kill you. So see what else I missed over here. Is that it? Okay. Yeah. So great question. So now I want to get you to the next phase of this. So if you're wanting to quit drinking yourself, you can do it for free, or you can get my program that has all the hypnosis sessions done for you. So that is not included with this, but instead of 149, it's 100. And I think the coupon is probably going to be in the chat and the link and stuff for when you're ready for it. And it is certainly easier to use all the sessions from me, but the basics are for today, you're going to create that timeline. That's where you're going to start. And you're going to look at that timeline. And when you're standing there in trance and you're thinking, I could take a step into my future, I want you to also notice that there's a timeline or a path to the left. Oh yeah, I just mentioned delirium tremens are what those are called. Yeah, when you are quitting and you start shaking, delirium tremens, very dangerous. Anyway, so you're going to go on this path, but there's a path to the left as well. Now, you can do this to yourself, but if you do the alcohol freedom program, I'll lead you through it. You just take a moment, and maybe right now, just take a moment and think about this. What if you are standing there with 2 paths? Your fork in the road. You can go down the path to the left, which is everything the same as you've been doing it. You can keep drinking as much as you want. You can drink instead of eating healthy foods. You can be embarrassed by some things that happen. You can drive home and go, thank goodness I didn't get pulled over today. You can go to bed feeling bad about who you are. And then you might take a few steps down that path to the left. Just go ahead and take some steps down there. It's the same as it's always been. It's all the feelings you're feeling now and all the things you struggle with and you give up so much of your life. And then when you get down that path just a little ways, you realize, this is not what I want. So float up out of that path, float all the way back to the moment that is now, where you began that fork in the road. Okay, so if you're taking notes, remember that you're going to feel those things on that path to the left that are just telling you that this is your reality. Is this really what you want? Is this how you want to feel every day? When you go to bed at night? When you make stupid mistakes? When your friends or family kind of look at you because it's like, really? Another martini? Mom? Now you're back at the beginning where those 2 split, and going on the one to the right is what you do want. And it is about being strong and healthy and in control. Now, every point on that timeline to the right, you are going to set up and reinforce what those phrases mean and how they affect you and why they're important. So you start on the path to the right and you're like, la-di-da-di-da, this is great. And at 3 months, you stop and you go, wow, 3 months. I have been eating healthy. My body feels good. I am strong. I am in control. And just embrace everything you've done. What's different? Is it fun because you don't have to hide it from your husband or your wife? one of my clients that I worked with by phone, because one of the ways I do this, I work with them by phone doing a coaching session for 20 minutes a day. They use the audio sessions and the workbook, and they're still going through the entire program and all the audio sessions. But I'm talking to them every day going, what did you do? And it's a really nice way to do it. But anyway, I was helping her, and she drank 20, 25 shots of vodka a day, every day, starting in the morning, which is a lot. And she was hiding it from her husband, and just horrendous amount of guilt and all the bottles that were stuffed away and hidden away. And she had to wait till he was out of the house so she could try and clean them all. This has been going on for a long time. Well, she quit, and it was not difficult for her. And I was just so crazy proud of her for taking that big step on that timeline. But it had a lot to do with what happens on that timeline and what we're anchoring. So that's your lesson for today. And tomorrow I'll be here again, next day again. But what I want to do is get you to write down this code. It is live 50, live 50, all one word. And if you know someone, you want to be like, not in their face, but you want to say, hey, there's something I know about that will help you. And I know you think that you're helpless and that you can't quit, but I just found something out that blew my mind. And it has blown my mind for 20 years. I've been doing work for 25 years, but 20 years ago, I made the alcohol program. It defies logic and what we think we know about how to quit drinking. It makes sense in my mind, and I bet for all of you, it makes sense, right? But it doesn't make sense that the phrase that if you keep doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results, it's the definition of insanity. And that's where we're at. Not, what is it, 1935? When was AA invented by Bill W? Like, I got it. Nailed it. Oh. We think about what we had then for technology and healthcare and what we knew about the brain, which was like nothing. And yet we're still doing that to this day. It makes no sense, and people are dying. And we have my alcohol freedom program, before the economy tanked in 2008, which is a very bad day or month for me and all the people who worked for me. But before that, our alcohol freedom was our best selling program. My radio ads ran and people just said, yep, that makes sense. Because I said, if you've been going to AA 12-step and you've gone to rehab and it hasn't worked, it's not your fault. This is what people need to know. And this is how you can spread the word. It's not their fault. You have been programmed with some really destructive beliefs, creating weakness and susceptible to relapse and believing you have a disease. And remember what I just said about the psychodrama psychologist. She's a freaking psychologist. She scared the shit out of that young girl who will probably never step foot in her room again. Oh, and all the rehabs that I went to, I saw it at all of them. It was horrific. Oh, and then I didn't even tell you the best part. The rehab where the guy charged $10,000 for a year and you can come to meetings in his building, which is kind of like just a warehouse with white walls and with gray folding chairs, and Al's enjoying this. Just folding chairs, metal, white walls, nothing. And then a circle, and he asks you questions and then you go home. Well, 3 days into it, I'm dropping my son off there. And everybody's milling around outside going, well, where's Hank? I don't know if his name was Hank, but where's Hank? Nobody knows where Hank is. What the hell? He's always here early. Well, guess where Hank was? He went to rehab because he's shooting up heroin every day. So he had to go to rehab. And all these people now lose all their little support that they had and their money and everything. I think there's a lot of really awesome people who are ex-addicts who have got their life together and they're doing fantastic. There's some that are always on the verge of relapse because of what you're taught and what you're indoctrinated into. So we've got to change it. We've got to. You all are going to be the start of these mouthpieces, and we're going to like explode this thing. And ow, oh, we're going to do it in the VA. Barb says, for how long? 20 minutes by phone per day for how long? I was doing it for 14 days. And it was totally fine. I just loved my clients. They went through the program with the audio sessions and all the writing and everything. But I was their accountability person. So I said, well, what did you write down about the self-sabotage? What was the positive reason for drinking? And, then they get to discuss it. And it's just enough time to do that. Now I do 10 days because after about the 10th day, we got nothing to talk about. We're just talking about ironing or something. We run out of things because we did so much in those 10 days. It is a great way for you to get good at something that your clients desperately need. Okay, so we got people who are wanting to quit drinking here, and we have people who are hypnotherapists wanting to help clients. We'll match all of you up. Pick one. From a business perspective, those who are addicts of alcohol or drugs and listening, you know how desperately you want a solution, right? Or remember, if you are an ex-addict, how it felt when you had to find a solution. You just want your freaking life back and you don't want to go to more meetings. You do not want to go to more meetings. So now, as a business person who is a hypnotherapist, you want a subject matter that is something that people really need help with, and they have trouble finding help, and they failed at it because they need something you do that is brilliant and makes sense and is based in science. There is not one bit of science behind AA. And you know what? I've had so many AA people who are dyed in the wool. There's nothing else. There's no other way. I'll still tell them, no, there's no science. We had no science in 1935 or whatever I said. There was nothing like that. We didn't know anything about this stuff. And you tell them from your voice, you say, now I am doing some brilliant work that is cutting edge work that is a result of the innovation of these brilliant minds in the hypnotherapy field that have shared so much information that now we have something that actually could end the struggle with addiction. So that's how you help them. That's how you tell them that we do have something that really works. There's one, I've only got a little couple minutes. We're going to have a Q&A right at the top of the hour, so you can stick around all you want. There's one center that is in Malibu. Does anybody know what the name of that is? It's a very, very nice rehab center. It's in a big, beautiful house in Malibu. And they have a massage therapist, well, a team of them, a massage therapist, and they have vitamins that repair your brain, which my alcohol freedom program has that too, the whole list of the supplements to repair your brain. And they have healthy, nutritious, organic foods, and they have a team of 12 hypnotherapists. Now, some of their hypnotherapists came to me for training because they didn't know what to do. They just hired hypnotherapists and figured, they'll figure it out. But anyway, that was kind of cool. They came to me for some training. How much do you think it costs for a month at this beautiful place in Malibu? Just throw that in the chat room. Robert, too low. Hey, Al, you said, what was the Live 50 code for? It's for $50 off the Alcohol Freedom Program. And I think there might be a link in the chat to the program, but it'll get you $50 off. Oh, Al says 35,000, way too low, 1.2 million. Very good, Robert. A little closer, but a little too high. Okay, so Passages in Malibu it was 80,000, now it's 100,000 for a month. Now, I think that a person could certainly hire some people to help them for less than $100,000. You can get a lot of massages and a nutritionist and someone who comes to your house every day and a hypnotherapist. Anyway, it's just kind of, there's no point in really what I'm telling you, except that passages, this guy decided, I'm going to do it right. I'm going to do the things that actually work and help people, get them healthier, good foods, good nutrition, massage, yoga, hypnotherapy. What? So they have a very high success rate. They say that they're like 94% or something like that. All right, so there is the free gift that I told you. The code is AF Live. AF Live. A as in Apple, F as in Frank, Live. And that gets you the $999,999 program. That's New Hope. There's several sessions in it. I know you're going to love it. It is your free gift for being awesome. And that's the code AF Live. All right, other questions. Now let's have a little Q&A so you can ask me whatever you want. Ha, you know I'm an open book. Sometimes a little too open, don't you agree? Yeah. Okay, Melissa says, what about the train of thought that you have to change your environment in order to be successful? You know, this has a lot to do with the triggers in your environment. Yeah, because you go back home and like the same things are there that are triggering you. So without hypnotherapy, you really need to change your environment because you're going to go back to the same situation, your same screwed up marriage, or, you know, all the guilt that is triggered with everything you see. Everything in your house is an anchor that triggers you to feel all these things. However, there is a session that you do in my alcohol freedom program called releasing negative anchors. So I have you imagine that you're going around your house and then also around your office and you're looking for things that are triggering you. Like, how about that tile over there? My husband and I fought over that tile, trying to decide what tile to put in. And you realize in this sensitive state that I put you in that you, wow, every time I glance at that, I'm getting a little glitch of anger. You go through your house during my session, looking at all these things that are like, wow, all these things were triggering anger, disappointment, the need to drink. So we want to change those anchors. So that is one way to do that, that you need to change your environment. Let's change the triggers that are anchored in all these areas of our home or surroundings. This woman told me her husband quit drinking with my program, and they have all these like parties, like wine parties at their house all the time. And she says he serves all the alcohol. He just loves it because it doesn't mean a thing to him. He just pours them drinks. He doesn't care. Doesn't affect him. Now, how about that? What if you could do that for your clients? So they don't have to change their environment. He didn't. He's like, here, have another drink. It's like the woman in the grocery store with the, I want to dance when I'm in the wine aisle. Okay, more questions. What else do you want to know? It's like I did say, ask me anything, so it doesn't have to be about alcohol. But anyway, be sure to get your brand new Hope and tell people, you know, I almost paid $1 million for this thing today. Apparently, I forgot how to swallow after 64 years. You'd think we'd figure it out. All right. Questions. Come on, you guys. Pony up. Question. Oh, that's a big one. Robert Culpepper. I remember you from a long ways back. Well, it does say it's a direct message, but maybe I shouldn't share it then. Okay. I won't share that one. From Phoenix Rose. Awesome name. Hi, Wendy. I have a friend that wants to quit smoking and drinking. What do you recommend? I'd say probably quit smoking. No, probably quit drinking first. Because when you're quitting smoking, if you're a drinker, the drinking still gets rid of all your commitment and, you know, all that's out the door. So I would say stop the drinking first and then do the smoking. And depending on the smoking program, you want to make sure it's a really good one. How long is a Coupon Live 50 good for? I don't know. It's a mystery. But feel free to send your friends over to it, maybe. I don't know. So what was I just saying? Something really important. Oh yeah. I listened to a recorded hypnosis session on YouTube that was to quit smoking. It is actually a very nice woman who is not really a hypnotherapist. I was on her podcast and she said, "Oh, I recorded this script I found to quit smoking and I put it on YouTube." Oh my God, you guys, you just have to know this. Oh, it was horrifying. It said things like, while you're in trance, now imagine your lungs, they're all black and diseased, and you can't breathe very well because your lungs are in such bad shape. Now you're in the hot. Yeah, exactly. He's like, no, now it gets better. Worse, I mean. Now you're in the hospital. Your family is there watching you in the bed because you're dying from smoking. Your body is giving out, and you're so sad because everyone is looking at you and they're so sad. Ooh. And it went on and on like this. And then it had you imagine eating a ashtray of cigarette butts. No, what? How is that going to help? And we know how to help people quit smoking and do it without all that pain or torture and everything positive. But this was on the internet. And she said, I didn't know. I'm not a hypnotherapist. I thought this was a script that'd be nice to share. But you can't just like let your clients or yourself go find all these randos on YouTube and think you're doing something good. That is just horrible. And Phoenix said, "Thank you, Winfield Brown." So Winfield worked for me back in the day. And he was managing a big part of the business. And we had lots of fun there. It was awesome. We had a massage therapist that came in every week and gave everybody massages, and we went on little trips together and stuff. It was great. But we had a lot of people, like up to 16, 17, 18 people. And then when 2008, when the economy started tanking, people quit buying my stuff. They quit, everywhere. And it was horrible. I had this big office of 3,000 square feet and all these awesome people working for me and with me. And oh my gosh, it was so sad. So after about a month of that, it was just, you got to go out and find jobs. And I downsized as fast as I could. But anyway, now I'm here and Winfield's here. I said in a text to him about a month and a half ago, said, well, you should just move to Hawaii. I did. So he did.
I called her bluff.
Yeah, he did. Al says, I practiced on my stepson just once. He started to have like a nightmare and shaking. How do we know if they're full of crap and looking for sympathy or really having seizure-like symptoms? Wow, that's a tough one. That's well, what I would do if I saw him like shaking is I would immediately put my hand on either his shoulder or his chest and say, right now, your mind can be calm and relaxed and you can feel your body slowing down. Everything feels good and your hands are becoming still and calm. Put your hands somewhere that when you have a little crisis going on with a client, that's the place. Or your shoulder. Like I had a woman who was not breathing all of a sudden, going back to the cause of her problem. All of a sudden she's just going, and she was not breathing. And immediately I said, when I touch your shoulder and count to 3, you'll breathe normally. 1, 2, 3. Now breathe. And then turns out she's having a revivification of a memory where her husband's trying to kill her by strangling her. Whew. No, so Al says, yeah, he did that. That's good. So yeah, I think that's a tough question for me to answer here because everyone is so different. And you're right. Sometimes people are looking for attention or sympathy. And it could be created unconsciously, but it's still through a conscious need for attention. So you could say, now there's a place in your inner mind that knows that you really do want help. And there are some things in your mind that maybe you do because you need attention. And I am here to give you attention. Could your inner mind agree to let go of any of that need, any positive reasons for having ailments or symptoms, and just let all that go for a moment so we can talk? So anyway, that would be probably along the lines. All right, any more questions for me or for him? How old is your stepson, Al? Oh, that was a direct question too. I'm sorry. I didn't even realize that. Oh, he's 30. Yeah. Well, he could really benefit from the help that you could give him. Just depends if you have too much of a connection with him that has any friction or issues. Do you have a program to get me to want to quit? Yay, Phoenix Rose, high five. Yes. And it happens to be this one. Now, the reason is most people that are starting this program say, I don't really want to quit drinking. I kind of like it. It's kind of my jam. And when you start, so here's what happens. Like this section here is called Freedom for Life, and it helps you get your brain wrapped around what it might be like to not have to struggle with this anymore and how that would happen. And then we go into desire. And this is getting you to create what you really do want. Because right now, you don't want alcohol to rule your life, but you don't really want to quit drinking either, kind of, sort of. So this is getting it really succinct in what you do want and not what you don't want. And we go through a lot of the aspects of that. So by now, okay, that's day one. And then you do the future timeline with the fork in the road. This thing, I don't know if it's backwards, but it's magic. This one session, I know most of you who are hypnotherapists have heard of doing a fork in the road. But if you could just listen to that session and get what people are getting when they realize that, wow, this one feels this way and this one feels this way, done deal. When you take them to, like they've been on the future one, they go maybe a month or so in the future, they come back to the point where the fork in the road is. When they're at that point in the fork in the road, I usually turn up the little background music a little bit if it's in my office. Which I don't have one actually now, so never mind. Anyway, so you're going to build this up. You're going to say, there are some things that you want in your life, and standing here, you feel it. There are some things on the left path that served you in the past that you thought you liked and that were important to you. But maybe when you look at that path on the right, oh, it's bright and beautiful, and it feels good, and your soul is nourished, blah, 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 whatever. Then you have created something that's going to make a powerful decision so they don't have to decide to change. They're not giving anything up that's that pleasurable, because now that path to the left is like, you're in trouble a lot and people don't really like you as a drunk, and the only people you hang out with are losers, and there's just nothing in your life that makes you happy. So, but if you look at that path on the right, because they already experienced it like a couple months into the future, it's just a done deal. You say, okay, on the count of three, I want you to make your choice, which way you want to go, which path really feels right for you. 1, get ready. You know this is the thing that you want more than anything. 2, ready? Just feel it, take a deep breath. And 3, get on that path. Notice that. But now I'm hoping that they are on the path to the right, because I don't ask them first. But they are. They always are. They always, always, always have been. So now they have made that decision. They've flipped some switches in their brain, and now you're going to start building the strong and healthy and in control. If you do this for yourself, if you want to quit drinking, you can do that exact process, the 2 paths, and just use the wording that I used, which is, there's just nothing for me over there. There's nothing that brings me any iota of joy. But on the right, that's where my life is, and just build that up. So Al says, is there a tobacco session? Yeah, I have a quit smoking session as well. Well, sessions, it's a whole program of stuff, and it includes the nutrition that you need and such. So, so yeah. And then my smoking session is real different than just using direct suggestion, saying you won't smoke, cigarettes are disgusting and whatever. It's about using the same principles as the addiction freedom program to get you to realize how good it feels to be a non-smoker, and spending some time in that mind and that soul of a non-smoker. So tomorrow we're going to talk about how you create identity, because identity for people who use AA or 12-step is that they're always an alcoholic or an addict for life. They're always in recovery. They are diseased. They are powerless. I'm going to tell you an experiment that I do that hopefully will blow your mind, and then we'll wrap it up. If you don't change your identity in this process, you're not going to have the results you want. If your identity is still stored as fat slob drunk or loser that I've tried everything, I can't quit, I'm not even worthy of doing that, it's not going to work. So I want to make sure we get the identity done. Phoenix Rose, yes, there's a replay of this, and you'll have a link for that. How do we change that identity? How do we create that new identity of who you are and what you're becoming and what's important to you? Well, when I look at going on that path, down that road, there are so many places on it where you're going to pick up pieces of identity of what you want and what you love. But here's the really cool one. And again, you can do this for yourself or your clients. Get all the way into 1 year in the future in a session that you're doing just for identity, and meet your future self. Now, what you're telling yourself or your client, you're face to face with your future self. You're looking in those eyes. You know that that man or that woman has lived a really good life for the last year. There is something in her eyes that is just sparkling and happy. Amazing things have happened for her. You can see that man being strong and feeling good about the family that he's raising or the work that he's doing that he loves. Look in those eyes and just feel it and see it. Notice why it's so important for him. Look at that woman and notice how she has just embraced her soul and her spirit, her femininity, and what she loves about her life. So you keep building those things that you know are important. And then I ask the client, now just walk right behind that body. And I want you to, just like you're putting on a nice, comfortable jacket, just slide inside of that body and that mind and those thoughts. Now you're seeing from those eyes, feeling it with that heart, and just knowing that this feels really right. What is the one thing that's most important to you inside of this experience now? And then maybe you come up with something that's like, wow, I have integrity, and that's a new feeling, and I like that. So now I do several things to find out what it is that they love about it, have them come out of the body and back face to face with their future self. And then I ask them to ask their future self, what is most important for me to pay attention to right now? Or you could ask, what is the next thing that I could be doing to be stronger and happier? And you let your future self answer. It's awesome. It is about an identity shift that you don't have to try and grind away at changing your identity. This future self just does it, and it just embodies it. So yes, you'll get a replay. The code for New Hope is AF Live, and it is live right now. You can go get your $999.99. And then we'll be back tomorrow. Feel free to send me an email, ask me questions, or if you have questions, maybe save them for tomorrow and ask them in the chat. It has been awesome being with all of you. I'm so glad you guys stayed this long. If you want to get the Alcohol Freedom Program, it is what? Oh, so AF Live is for New Hope. What's the? I can't even read your writing. It looks like hieroglyphics. Live 50. Live 50. All one. And that will get you the Alcohol Freedom Program for $50 off. But the work that we're talking about, you can do it on your own. You can take notes. Because I did so much self-hypnosis to myself when I was learning, and all these changes that I had were my own self-hypnosis. Well, not all of them, most of them. Like the thing of going around the house to get rid of negativity. The reason it happened was because I moved into a brand new house, and I did not take my furniture with me. I bought all new furniture. Things were going quite well at the time. And when I walked around that house, I was like, wow, There's nothing that feels bad in this house. That's not the couch I sat in when I had an argument with my ex-husband, or that's not the one where my son went storming out the door and slammed or whatever. You know, we all have that stuff that goes on. But everything had no memories and negative energy. And that's when I made that thing of getting rid of the negative energy from all the things that stored in it. It's a cool process. Tomorrow, I'll give you that session for free, and you can listen to that one because it's really cool. Melissa says, it's great to see you live like this. This makes me remember Wendy TV and how much I enjoyed that. I know, 5 days a week I did that. I'm considering doing that again. I might, because I think it's a really cool thing to be able to just enlighten people to like why they don't have to suffer so much in their life. Yeah. Well, thank all of you for being here. I have an appointment in 9 minutes I need to get ready for. So you guys and girls, be awesome, and I'll see you tomorrow. Okay, spread the word, and you can send that link for the recording to everybody that you like. Yeah, thank you, and bye bye.